What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over everything you need to know about Fortnite's new Ninja Turtles update in Blitz Royale. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more. Comment down below what you think of this weekly update for Blitz. Personally, I'm really liking it, and if you guys would like to use my code in the item shop, it is EvolveJake, just like my channel name, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So today was the start of the Ninja Turtles week in Blitz, meaning you will start each match with one of the 4 Ninja Turtle mythic items rather than the bosses or the boss items we had for last week's Bad Bosses update. This week is different from most of the other weekly updates we've had in that each of these turtle items function so similarly that I don't think it really matters which item you start the game with. Last week, if you started with like a Void Mask, that game was going to play quite different than a game where you started with like the Hades chains. And because everybody starts with the same item, each game played very different, I think. Each of these turtle items, they're a bit different as far as the melee animations go, but for most players, it won't really change anything which item you have. If you have the Leonardo item or the Raphael item or the Donatello item, doesn't really matter. I'm going to play exactly the same regardless of which one I have. In each of these turtle mythics, they function like a reskinned kinetic blade for movement. So you can travel around the map with it, similar to how you would with the kinetic blade. And then it does have a melee attack as well. But the melee attack on these turtle mythics is quite bad, similar to how the kinetic blade is. Me personally, I just think of it as a reskinned kinetic blade. They work very, 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 very similar. And as I said, this makes it to where every game this week, each player is starting with mobility, which I personally really like. I enjoyed the weeks that had mobility, like the kinetic blade or the void mask. Those games I had a lot more fun than the Hades chains or the fire mask. So starting every match with mobility, I think this will end up being my favorite week of Blitz that we have had so far. I know a lot of people won't like it though, just because they feel like people will be, running away too much or resetting fights too much. But I think having mobility just allows you to make plays a lot more in zero build than you would otherwise. One thing that is unfortunate about these turtle items is that there is a bug where sometimes after you use the mobility aspect of it, if you try to land in a slide, your character just stops and you don't slide anywhere. And this was a problem when the turtle mythics were initially in the game in Chapter 5 Season 1. And unfortunately, it was not fixed, in between then and now. And you still have that weird slide bug when using these items. I don't think it affects anything other than, when you're in the air using the item, if you try to land in a slide, sometimes your slide will bug. If you're just running around on the map sliding, that's not going to be changed and that's not going to be a problem. It's just sliding after using the item. So I'm really happy with this week. That bug is annoying at times, but having the constant mobility I think is nice. And then there's not any like super cheesy items to start with, like games when everyone had the Hades chains. That would make for some very, RNG early games, I think. And then same with the fire mask. I had a game last week where I landed and just shot my fire mask twice and it went and killed somebody off spawn. Like it was crazy. So I think this week has less cheesy stuff, more mobility. I think it's a good thing. They also added and removed several of the mythic items that you will get for leveling up. I'll have them on screen now, but I didn't want to really read through all of them, but I'll let you know which ones I think the most impactful are. So as far as mythics that were added that you can potentially get for leveling up, the mythic Sentinel pump, the mythic Spire AR, the mythic Havoc pump, and then the mythic Infiltrator shotgun. I personally don't really enjoy the Infiltrator shotgun, but I know a lot of people do. So being able to get that mythic from leveling up will probably be something they really enjoy. But the other ones I said, the Sentinel pump, the Spire AR, and the Havoc pump, I'm going to be very happy whenever I end up getting one of those mythic weapons for leveling up. And for the removed mythics, there was also several that were removed. Same thing, I'll have them on screen now, but the ones that I thought were most impactful to be removed are going to be the Baron's Double Down Pistol. That thing is crazy. The Brutus Minigun, the Sky Scar, and Ocean's Burst Rifle. I didn't really use any of these removed mythics very much, but sometimes I would use the Sky Scar or the Burst. And obviously the mythic minigun, people can be a menace with that thing, so removing it I think will be a good thing. We also got changes to the Llama's loot pool for this update, and I think this is going to be something that a lot of people do not like. So in the golden Llamas, The Mythic Typhoon Blade and Mythic Nitro Fists were added as potential loot items you can get for opening the supply drop. And then the Mythic Fire and Void Masks, Shockwave Hammer, and Kinetic Blade were all removed. So the masks, the Shockwave Hammer, and the Kinetic Blade were removed from supply drops, but you can now potentially get the Mythic Typhoon Blade or the Mythic Nitro Fists from opening a drop. And I know a lot of people are going to be not happy about seeing these melee weapons return, but a lot of people will probably be happy as well. And then the Silver Llamas got basically the same adjustment as well, with the Typhoon Blade, Nitro Fist, Grapple Blade, and Kneecapper Bat all being added to the loot pool for Llamas. And then the Fire and Void Mask, Hades Chains, Shockwave Hammer, and Kinetic Blade were all removed from the Silver Llamas. So both Llamas got, you know, some more recent mobility items and then removal of like the bad bosses items and stuff. So that is something that I think will be very divisive, just because these items in the past were either loved or hated. And then the Kneecapper Bat was also added to supply drops as a potential item you can get from drops. And as I said, these items are very divisive. In Chapter 6, Season 1, in Chapter 6, Season 2, you either loved or hated the mobility items. And I think, you know, this week in Blitz Royale is going to be kind of similar. One thing that is good, though, is that you're always starting with the Ninja Turtle mythics, and so you can potentially use those to get away from the melee user, kite back, and then shoot them if possible. But also, Blitz is just such a fast-paced and chaotic game mode at times that you might not be able to do that, just depending on how things go. There are also several medallions in the loot pool, so going to the supply drops and getting those, not only can you potentially deny somebody else getting some of these you know, melee weapons that you might not want to deal with, but being able to get medallions like the Cerberus medallion, the Megalodon medallion, or the Fletcher Kane medallion, all of these will make it much easier to deal with melee weapons as well. So that would kind of just be my advice, is just go more for the supply drops to prevent other people from getting it, and also get those medallions for yourself. And with the addition of the turtle mythics, you should, you know, always have mobility to hopefully be able to quickly get to the supply drops or contest anybody going for them around you. But that is going to be it for this video and this update. As always, if you guys did find this video to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this week. I think this one will end up being my personal favorite, even though I don't like some of the melee weapons. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Trying to land on the first drop that spawns. If I had one of the medallions that gave us unlimited sprint, I would be much more inclined to take that bat. But I think just without the unlimited sprint, I'd rather have the turtle item. My AR may or may not be loaded, yeah. So many people here. This is the only real one, though, right there. Nice. Can swap ARs here. Not only is it a higher rarity, but this one is going to be loaded, whereas mine is, like, not. I feel like I'm in, like, constant, just unfortunate circumstances. Like, I just want to have my gun loaded, my stamina here, all my uses for my turtle item. Isn't even full HP, I didn't realize. I never thought about it. These things fighting on the beach are AI. And I think the ones fighting back in retail are also AI. Let me get back on this hill. It takes a decent amount of time for the turtle item to like regen. For leveling. The yoink. I think I'd rather have the pump, but if I got the exotic pump from that, I would have been very happy. There's a drop spawning in over here. That's an AI, the bender. Somebody else shot at them. Is that the motel? I just don't know if he was on top or in one of the rooms. Zeus medallion? I'll take it, but it upsets me. Because, like, I often jump out of my slide. Like, I sprint, slide, jump a lot. And when you do that with the Zeus medallion, you just go nowhere. It's so gross. And like, I can't not like slide jump. Like, I don't know. It's just years ever since like they added these mechanics. I've been doing that. AI. One player remains, and it's the one at the motel, I'm pretty sure. That I was unsure about earlier if they were real or not. They're up here. They're AI. It's like the way they're moving and what they're doing with their character makes absolutely no sense. GG's. To retail, this is just like far and away my favorite location to land. The turtle items themselves as spawn items don't really change too much about how I want to play the game, because they're all very similar. Or like how I want to play the game doesn't change too much depending on what item I have, because they're all very similar. I think there's like minor differences between the melee aspect of each of them, which is not really something I care very much about. I pretty much never use the melee aside from that, but they all function, like aside from off spawn like this, they all function very similar to like the kinetic blade, where you can use it as mobility. Unfortunately for this guy, me and him have to have the most random fight off spawn because we're both landing on the same chest. I'm definitely gonna go for the supply drop off the rip. That's one of the nice things about having this mobility, is you can just quickly try to like rush down any supply drops that spawn. Where's the medallion for this? It spawned in the thing. Not my favorite medallion, but I don't mind having it. My dislike of this medallion mainly came from how it was obtained. Like you had to fight Shogun X for it, and I just didn't feel like it was worth the effort of doing that. Ended up getting zone. Get a gold auto, but I'll just have the pump. Another drop over here. Fighting going on over here? I don't think they're real though. Yeah, they're not. That was not worth going for. I think it works out okay, but if I lost this drop because of it, that would have been bad. The noise of like zone spawning made me think someone got the supply drop. If we get a good medallion out of this, I'd be very happy, because my guns are already quite good. Get a medallion that I already have, so basically useless. And these turtle items do have like a weird bug with them, for like sometimes when you use it, you can't land in a slide. And that's how it was when it was initially in the game in Chapter 5 Season 1. And it seems like they didn't fix that slide bug at all in between Chapter 5 and now. I mean, why would they? It hasn't been out, but yeah, like they didn't worry about fixing that before they re-added it here, which is kind of unfortunate, because that's like the main downside of this item, or the main kind of like the only knock I have against it is just like that it does kind of make sliding after using it a bit awkward sometimes. It's not like 100%. I accidentally hit the wrong button. It's not 100%. Like sometimes you can land in a slide, but sometimes it bugs out. The llama over here. Shots over as well. I'm more worried about the shots than the llama, especially because like I don't think the llamas give medallions, which is the main thing I would kind of be concerned about right now. I think this thing shooting him is an AI. See, like right there, I landed in a slide, which is perfect. Okay, they were both AI. I just wasn't sure. I thought for sure this one was, but the one hiding behind the tree, the way he kind of like peeked and only shot at me, thought maybe he was real. 2 people left. Just got this llama. So they're definitely real, getting the llama. Yeah, it's the Zeus medallion. That was bad. Pop a slurp. Oh, dude, the shield bubble from my medallion just scared me. What is going on? Typhoon blade, or the bat here, the kneecapper bat. I don't know why I just called it a typhoon blade. I don't really care for that though. I think I'd rather have this turtle movement. If I had one of the medallions that gave me unlimited sprint, then I would definitely be more inclined to take that bat. But it may or may not matter. This last person could very well be an AI, and it won't really matter what items I have at that point. Nice, Cerberus medallion. This would have been great in the fight we just had. Here they are. And they're an AI. GG's. Often kind of is the case. Not even just with Blitz, but even with like regular BR, that the final player isn't even real because they're just across the map doing who knows what.